Hey, congrats on getting married. That's huge. I just heard about your honeymoon from my brother. It sounded amazing.
Thanks a bunch, Maya. I'm looking forward to having you in the family.
Oh, me too. It's going to be so much fun having you as a sister-in-law. By the way, I sent a bottle of my favorite wine to Kyle earlier. I hope you don't mind white. You guys should drink it together. I hope you like it.
Wow! You even sent a present? You didn't have to.
It's my treat. Don't worry about it. We should all go out to eat together when you guys have time. You guys have a nice night together. I won't bother you any more tonight.
What? Don't tell me the conversation is already over.
Oh, do you want to talk more? I was just messaging you to congratulate you on the engagement. That's all. Was there something else I was supposed to tell you guys that I forgot about?
There is, isn't there? There's the congratulatory message, the bottle of wine. Then there's one more important thing you're supposed to tell me. Right?
You say it's something important. I'm sorry, but I really don't know what you're talking about. I can be forgetful sometimes.
You're joking, aren't you? You're supposed to tell me congratulations, send us an engagement gift, and then you're supposed to say you'll be moving out of the house so that Kyle and I can have it to ourselves. Right?
I'm not sure I follow.
Go ahead and use my room, Annie. I've got it all prepared for you. That's what you're forgetting. Kyle and I can't possibly live together at your house with you there.
I think I need you to explain this to me a little further. All this talk of me leaving my house and you two living there together? Are you saying that you and Kyle are living at my house together from now on? You aren't getting your own place?
Of course we're going to be living there together. Kyle is the oldest child and I'm his wife, so it's the natural course of action. The oldest sibling usually inherits the house, right? Isn't that how it always works?
Oh, you don't have to worry about that kind of thing with us. It's not the 1500s anymore, and our family really isn't old-fashioned. You guys can do whatever you want.
You don't have to be polite about it. It's set in stone. You know how these things are. We have a mutual understanding here. Kyle is the oldest in your family, so he's the one who will inherit the house. For instance, if your father were to fall ill, God forbid, the arrangements for the estate would already be in place. That's why Kyle and I need to stay at this house together.
I mean, I guess my dad could become sick at some point, but I don't see how that translates to some kind of mutual understanding between us about this. My parents don't like thinking that way anyway. They just want us to do what makes us happy and not think so far into the future about things. If anything, they probably wouldn't want you two living under the same roof as them and would prefer you live together somewhere else.
Maya, it doesn't matter how much you don't want to leave the house. Could you please not get in the way of our new life together? In fact, I think this could be a great opportunity for you to get out of the house and make something of yourself for once. Don't you agree?
Are you saying I don't get out enough?
No, you don't. You should know better at your age. But you're still single and living under your parents' roof. This might sound harsh, but frankly, you're a deadbeat shut-in who rarely steps outside. I know you must rely an awful lot on Kyle, but he's married now. I think you're well overdue to gain a little bit of independence.
Annie, you do realize I'm not a deadbeat or a shut-in, right? I've told you before that I work from home.
That excuse might work on your parents, but it sure won't work on me. I see right through you, so just give it up. Lazing around in bed and watching Netflix all day is not working.
What?
Maya, this is going to sound harsh, but somebody's got to say it. Just because your parents are very wealthy doesn't mean it's okay to leech off of them your entire life. Now that I'm part of your family, I can tolerate you being jobless.
I do have a job. I work from home. That means I do work. At home.
I think you already knew this, but my mom raised me as a single mother. We weren't well off, and she had to work herself tirelessly in order to keep me clothed and fed. That's why I get really irritated when I talk to people like you, who were clearly spoiled as children.
Huh?
Our moving in together is for your sake too, you know. Do you understand? If so, then pack your bags and have your room cleared out for me. That's going to be our new home, and you will not be a part of it.
Excuse me, Maya. Are you there? How long do you plan on clinging to that house for? If Annie tells you to do something, then you'd better do it. You can't seriously be planning on just ignoring her forever, can you? Sorry, who is this? Let me guess, you're one of Annie's people. I'm her mother. Call me Kristen. It's a pleasure to talk to you again. We met at the rehearsal dinner. Oh, yes, I remember. It's been a while since we've spoken. Yes, it has. Now, tell me, what do you think you're doing staying in that house? If you keep behaving the way you are, Annie and Kaya will never get to live under the same roof. Great. This again? Annie's telling me she's going to move in so that you'll finally straighten out your act. But this is how you respond? Are you just going to take my daughter's kindness for granted? I'm sorry, Kristen, but you're putting me in kind of a tight position here. I asked my parents about the moving in business and they told me that there's no need for me to leave. And besides, they said that there's no need for the two of them to live in our house either. That being said, I don't see why this is still a point of contention. Besides, it's all a little archaic, don't you think? What part of this do you think is archaic? The part where Annie seems to think she and Kyle are just going to fully inherit the family home? I think it's a shame that young people these days have no respect for tradition anymore. Enough of your millennial complaining. You need to leave that house right now. You're going to let those two live together in your house whether you like it or not. But I already told you, my parents said it isn't necessary at all. Besides, I want to keep living here. I think I ought to have at least a little bit of a say in this. I can't just up and leave my own home just because Annie wants me to. Especially with no good reason. Oh, great. The jobless ingrate is putting her foot down. What a stubborn, spoiled woman you are. I can't believe your parents raised you to be this way. I'm sorry? I'll have you know, it's a problem for me too if you don't leave that house. This has been decided on ever since I learned my daughter was getting engaged to your brother. When she told me about it, I told her she would never come home to me again. How am I supposed to get my allowance from her if she isn't living with Kyle at his house like we agreed on? Sorry, what's this about an allowance? And what does that have to do with those two living at his house specifically? In order for me to allow Annie to move out and live with her new husband, we came to an agreement. Specifically, we agreed that she would wire me $2,000 a month. $2,000? On top of that, I'm also waiting for a check from her to come in the mail for me. All that's left is for her to put an address in and we'll be set. And yet, here we are. The last thing I need is a leech like you throwing a wrench in this plan. You do realize that this is completely crazy. I've never heard of anyone sending their parents money in exchange for being allowed to live outside of the house. What else am I supposed to do? She's my only child. My daughter. This is the best course of action for both of us. You see, I've been raising her all alone this whole time. It's been just the two of us for as long as I can remember. Once she leaves me, I'll be all alone for the rest of my life. I'm going to grow old all by myself without my darling child to help take care of me. The least she could do in exchange for letting her go off on her own is send me $2,000 a month so I can take care of myself.
Hold on. I need to get this straight. So far, none of this is making sense to me. If you're so sad about being all on your own, couldn't you have worked something out with Kyle and Danny? Couldn't they just live with you instead of here? It seems to me like that would solve your problem entirely.
There's no way the three of us would be able to live together in an apartment as tiny as this one. I wouldn't be able to stand it. And even if it weren't too small, Kyle moving in would simply be too much of a hassle for me. All I need is a few $1,000s and I'll be able to get on just fine. The arrangement works out perfectly if you ask me.
I'm sure you love your daughter very much and are concerned for her well-being, but you sure are coming off as wanting her money more than anything else.
Oh, so now you're calling me a greedy old hag who wants to steal from her daughter?
Those are your words, not mine.
That sure is rich, coming from a spoiled brat child who contributes nothing to society. Look, I don't know why you're so hung up on that idea, but I've told you guys multiple times that I have a job. I work from home. Haven't you heard of a computer before? And besides, I have more than enough money in savings. Oh, I bet you've saved up so much money in your piggy bank by helping Mommy with her house chores. If that were me, every day would be like a vacation compared to the work I've had to do my whole life. People born into wealthy families really do start life on easy mode, as they say. Your frilly little lifestyle must be like something out of a fairy tale compared to what my family has gone through. Oh, how marvelous.
You won't believe me no matter how many times I tell you, huh?
Anyway, this is beside the point. I need you out of that house immediately. Do you hear me? I've replaced all of her old belongings with brand new ones so she can start off her married life fresh. And I need to get those to her. But more importantly, I'm waiting on that check. Why would you go out and buy her new things? With what money? At this rate, you're going to end up blowing through that money Anne gives you. But that's the entire point. Isn't it obvious? How could Annie possibly start her new life with old shabby things? She needs to start off with her best foot forward. I bought her brand new clothes, pajamas, and even makeup to replace her old ones. Not to mention socks, handbags, appliances, intimates. You get the picture. Now she'll be walking into your house wearing designer labels instead of those old thrifted rags. Not that you'd know what thrifted means in the first place. You've got to be kidding me. You went out and bought all those things, and you did so with money that you don't have. Now, I've got important business I need to be attending to. If I had the time to go over there and kick you out, I would. Understand? Pack your bags at once and get out of my daughter's new home.
This is a totally unrelated question, but how much money is that check you mentioned for?
About $50,000, give or take.
$50,000?
What? This money is important. I'll need it if I fall ill, won't I? You're just jealous that Annie doesn't need to worry about pleasing you anymore, aren't you? That job of hers is done, and she played her part beautifully. Her new job is to get the rest of your family to love her just as much as I do, and we will do anything it takes to make that happen.
How long is it going to take you to leave? Everything is ready on our end. Now we're just waiting for you. You're getting kicked to the curb, you useless bum. Remember?
Yeah, I know. I'll be out of your hair as soon as I can. I'm so sick of you guys anyway. I'll go, so just leave me alone.
You should have said that from the get-go. It would have saved us a lot of problems. You really went and dragged things out as long as possible to keep your brother's attention from me. His new wife. Well, so long, you little parasite.
Yep. See ya.
Good riddance. I hope reality hits you like a smack in the face. See how easy life is when you no longer have your parents' money to live off of. Spoiled do-nothings like you belong on this street with all the other jobless trash.
Guess I'll be off to my new condo now.
What?
I did tell you time after time that I'm not a bum, didn't I? I make over $100,000 a year, you know. I know you wish I'd live on the streets instead, but I'll be living on my own with my own money from now on.
Maya, you make that much money?
Sorry to have caused you so much trouble until now. I'd like to have all my things out by the end of the day, so I'll get back to packing now.
Hold on, Maya. Oh, wait just a second. You make over $100,000 a year and you didn't tell me? Where would a parasite shut-in like you possibly get that money? And enough to afford a condo, no less. Are you saying your parents went out of their way to buy you a condo with their money?
I don't know why you're so convinced that I leech off my parents. I'm renting this condo with my own hard-earned money, I'll have you know. I never got a cent from either of my parents for it. After all, I don't need their money. I make plenty of my own by working from home.
You do work at home?
Well, I don't do anything too fancy. I'm just a comic artist. Although I do have followers in the hundreds of thousands, so you could say I'm pretty popular. I also do illustrations for big names in the industry. Even you've probably heard of some of the things I've worked on.
You make $100K a year drawing at home? But I was totally convinced you haven't worked a day in your life.
I've told you 1,000,000 times already that I have a proper job, and you never listen to me. I tell you straight up that I'm a working member of society, and you just say, "Oh, you must be doing housework." I'm sick of it. All these conversations where nobody listens to me and things go nowhere.
This isn't my fault. It's your fault that your work is so confusing I couldn't understand it. We didn't know you could make money doing something like that.
Oh, really? Is that so?
Well, if you have so much money after all, then hurry up and move out. If you're so loaded after all, then why do you even care if you live at your own house or not?
I care because my brother's greedy wife is literally kicking me out. I can't just sit back and let her do that to me. It's not right.
But you are moving after all. It doesn't matter anymore. You already lost to us, and now you have to give up your precious home.
That is how it turned out in the end. I talked to my parents and they just said to let you guys move in if you're going to be so persistent. I can't just up and ignore what my parents say, so I'm moving out.
Ah, so that's what happened. Sounds like they're on my side now. Of course your parents would want the heir to their fortune to live as close to them as possible. It's no wonder they'd rather have us in their house instead of their daughter who shuts herself in for work every day.
They told me a few other things as well. They said they're going to put you in the barn if you're just going to force your way in. There's no bath or toilet there, but there's plenty of space for you guys. I don't see why you'd want to spend your new married life in a place like that, though.
Huh? They're not letting us live in the main house? We have to use the barn.
I spoke to your mom on the phone, too, and she had a lot of interesting things to say. She said she'd let you start living together under one condition. Apparently, she wants you to send her $2,000 a month. And assuming you don't have that much just sitting around, she wants it to come from Kyle or my parents. She says $2,000 is the bare minimum of what she needs, actually.
What?
Also, she replaced all of your old stuff with new versions. You've got brand new appliances, clothes, you name it. Of course, she needs you guys to help foot the cost. Apparently, she needs about $50K for all that.
You're joking. My mom told you everything?
Oh yeah, she really didn't hold back. She told me I was getting in the way of her big plan and asked me to leave my house as soon as possible. Naturally, I told my parents every word of what she had to say. You know what they said? They said they're not going to stand by and be taken advantage of. Dad had a pretty scary look in his eyes when he said that, you know.
That doesn't sound good.
$2,000 a month is really nothing for them, you see. They'll be able to pay it quite easily. In fact, they say they'll gladly pay it, but under one condition. That condition is that you have to live in the shoddy, run-down barn. We obviously have a proper bathroom in the main house, but they don't seem keen on even letting you use it.
I can't believe this. How could they let the heir to their fortune live in a terrible place such as that?
You should be grateful they're letting you live on their property at all. I know taking the time to sit down and to actually find a new place to live is tough. I just went through it too. But it's great that you get to live together happily ever after. Well, the living itself might not be happy, but love conquers all, right?
No!
You'll even get to treat your mom right with the $2,000 a month my parents are so graciously giving you. In exchange, you'll have to live in the shoddy little barn. I wonder how long you'll be able to bear it. Of course, if my parents are giving up their money to you, then you'll just have to deal with it. They're being so nice after all.
I can't deal with it. How could I possibly deal with it? There's no bathroom in there. I won't even be able to take a shower. And they won't even let us use the main house at all.
You'll be fine. There's a park that's just a 10-minute walk away. Well, it's more like 20 minutes. But if you run, I'm sure you can get there real fast. I wonder if you'll be able to hold it that long. Let's hope so.
It's more than 10 minutes away. There's no way I can make it in time.
As for the bath, you'd be hard-pressed to find one that isn't in someone's house, and our neighbors don't take kindly to strangers trying to use their facilities. Oh, there's actually a 24-hour gym nearby. You could shower there. You can get a little exercise in and shower once you're done. 2 birds with 1 stone, am I right?
You're telling me I'll have to live like this for the rest of my life? I can't do it! There's no way! The barn hasn't even been used for decades! Are you saying I'll have to live in that shabby old hut full of dust and asbestos for the rest of my life too?
And in case you were wondering, no, my parents will not be helping out. You might want to take a few days to really clean the place before you move in. Bring a mask, too.
No! I'm allergic to dust. I've always been horrible with dusty places. I can't even go under my own bed if I drop something. How am I supposed to clean a place that old and dusty all by myself?
So you agree that living with us is a stupid idea?
Wait, no, hold on.
Well, it's not my problem anymore anyway. Good luck living together. I hope it's just as magical as you dreamed it would be. No, hold on just a second, Maya. What is the meaning of this? You're making my daughter live in some dirty old shack on your property? How could you? This is all your fault. You caused this, didn't you? I bet it's because you want revenge for us trying to kick you out, isn't it? You've got my parents to blame for this one, actually. They're the ones that thought it was unnecessary in the first place, but you guys just wouldn't back down. They're just giving you guys what you wanted. Having Annie and Kyle sleep in the barn just works better for them. You can't always get what you want, right? But why are they making her live in that horrible barn? I don't understand. You say you're finally moving out. Then your room should be perfectly fine for Annie. I don't see why they won't let her sleep there when there's a whole room that they won't be using otherwise. I never said my room wasn't going to be used. It's true, I did move out so I could get away from Kyle and Danny. But my parents are actually going to let me use my old room as a workspace. They're letting you use it for what? Did Annie tell you about my job? Aside from the fact that I have a job in the first place, did she tell you what I do? I did hear that from her, yes. Who'd have thunk that someone like you, who barely goes outside, somehow manages to make a living for herself? Besides, you make an awful lot of money, don't you? I do. And I want to invest in my future and ensure that I continue to make a lot of money. For that purpose, I'm going to be using my old room for work. It'll be good for me to finally have my work and living spaces separate. I'll be able to stay organized and enjoy my time off more that way. That's why my condo will be for sleeping, eating, and having fun. Nothing else. Then I'll commute to my parents' house and work in my own exclusive space there. That is spoiled rich girl thinking. If you need a space for work and nothing else, then use the barn for goodness sake. I did think about it, but the barn doesn't have any electricity, so I wouldn't be able to use it. Most of my work gets done on my computer, after all. Are you kidding me? There isn't even electricity in that building? You should be grateful to your daughter. She's going to be living in a run-down barn using candles and lanterns like they did in the Victorian era. Thanks to her, she'll be able to send her $2,000 monthly allowance to you so you can buy frivolous things. The $2,000 monthly allowance doesn't matter anymore. Annie said she couldn't stand living in that little barn and wants to come home already, you know. Oh, so she already went home? She took one look at that run-down little shed and bolted. I can't blame her. Now she's saying she doesn't even want to live with your brother at all. So I guess we won't need to be sending you the $2,000 then. We'd only do that if she agreed to live here, after all. I wonder what's going to happen now that Annie can't pay you that $50,000 anymore. That's a big problem for me, I'll have you know. I bought all of those things with my credit card, and I don't have the money to pay them back. I need to have it paid off by the end of the month or I'm going to be in a whole world of trouble. If it's looking that grim, then why not have Annie go through with the arrangement after all? Oh, please, Annie, just put up with all the dust and rot and stay in that shack for me. You'll do it for my sake, won't you? Mommy is in a lot of trouble otherwise. Maybe give that a shot? Of course I can't say that to my own daughter. Then you'll just have to find some way to get that money, won't you? Doesn't seem like you have any other choice. It's your turn to pitch in and help. Maybe try a lemonade stand?
Kaya, please, I need your help. Kyle said he wants to divorce me already. He's even given me papers and told me to sign them. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Boy, I am not surprised. You never even told him about this whole moving in fiasco in the first place. Of course he's upset with you. Poor guy had to hear it all from my parents instead of from you. He was messaging me about it all not too long ago. He said he had something really important he wanted to talk about, and it involved you. I went ahead and showed him all of our conversations so he could get a better idea of what's going on in your head.
You did not.
He saw you calling me a jobless bum and a parasite. He saw you trying to kick me out. Oh, he also saw how money-grabbing you and your mother are. He didn't know that about you. I'm surprised you kept it from him for so long. Of course he'd want to divorce you for all of that. He's got a great reason to. By the way, Kyle's the kind of guy who is very firm in what he wants. So you'd better just give up and sign those divorce papers.
I don't know how I'm supposed to make a living for myself without him. My own mother told me once I married not to ever step foot in her house again. Remember? That's what she told you. And I know she's going to follow through with it.
I guess she did say that, didn't she?
My life is a total wreck right now. And it's all your fault. Kyle is dead set on divorcing me. Mom won't forgive me for the problems I've caused her. What am I supposed to do?
Good question. I guess you could live on the streets for a while? It doesn't sound pleasant, but I'm sure you could make it if you tried hard enough.
How could you say that? You are so mean. You're rolling in money, aren't you? You make 6 figures a year drawing your little pictures and goofing off at home or whatever. Money clearly isn't an issue for you like it is for me. So couldn't you let me work for you or something so I can at least feed myself?
Why would I want to hire someone who calls me a worthless parasite? You should have thought about that if you wanted a job so badly. You never listened to me no matter how many times I told you I have a job. So why would I spend my money hiring someone who lacks basic comprehension skills when I could spend it building my business instead?
No, please, I'm begging.
Sorry, but I've got to cut you off there. I'm busy busting my butt trying to meet this deadline for work, so I don't have time to chat with the likes of you. A few days later, Kyle told me he somehow convinced Annie to sign the divorce papers, and their marriage is no more. Apparently, the two hadn't done a prenup, so the two spent a good amount of time fighting over who gets what, and Annie especially tried to wring some more money out of him. Once Kyle brought a lawyer into the mix, however, Annie got scared off and dropped her complaints entirely. She ended up going back home to her mother's apartment, but it didn't happen without a little bickering between the two first.
This is all your fault, Mom! I did everything you told me to, and now look where we are!
You stupid child! It was all up to you to execute the plan perfectly, and you went ahead and ruined it. Arguments like these continued for some time, and eventually they finally decided to cut ties with each other. In the end, Annie's mother was left with nothing but a pile of expensive kitchen appliances and a massive credit card debt to pay off. For reasons I still don't understand, Annie decided to work through her troubled feelings by stalking Kyle incessantly. Eventually, he filed a restraining order against her, which she failed to uphold, and is now spending time in jail for her actions. Thank you for watching to the end. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and tell us what you thought in the comments below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one.